Back to working on the seat. I'm getting all this padding stuff off here so I can put new on. This stuff is like ultra flammable. I was welding a little piece of metal for somebody and a spark hit it, and this stuff just flamed up like there is no tomorrow. So yeah, it's all going. I'm going to put this stuff here, that white stuff on it, and I think that'll work just fine. But I got to clean off the old stuff and the old adhesive, and it's going to take a while. And then I'm going to glue that on, and then I got some material to stitch onto the original seat covers, where they're not the original covers, but the seat covers that are on the car. The guy used the original stuff off the original covers where the hog rings go to hog ring it back on, and that stuff is just so deteriorated that, you know, I don't know if it'll hold or not. So that's why I'm gonna change it out. But anyway, I'm not gonna bore you with the tedious scraping of I got a razor blade of trying to clean this off so I can, you know, if you don't get this stuff off, the new glue won't hold it on, because the old glue will lose its, you gotta clean it. There's just no getting around it. So anyway, I'm just gonna work away at this, and then we'll get some more video of what I work on next. Yeah, I don't know if I showed this or not, but that I got out of the garage. This burlap I just picked up from Foam more, and this stuff too, because I don't know if I had enough. But all this foam here, everything was up in the garage from other projects. So let me finish up here, and so I can get this ready to put the cover in. Got the surface all cleaned up so the glue will stick. This stuff was kind of glued on like this. It wasn't glued on this side, it was just glued on this back and this bottom, and it just kind of hung over and was kind of like that. So see, like that. Anyway, that'll be no big deal, so I just saved that for the width of what I need to cut. And next I got to get all the steel rods out of the burlap. Couldn't think of the name for a second. Start putting in new ones, and you can see this is like stitched around, so I'll have to do that too so it doesn't pull apart. I just want to show how time consuming this is. I don't know if I'm going to edit this out of the video when I come to editing or not, but I'm getting all these thin wires out. You pull them out, I just grab it in and hold it, and then I can twirl the wire. But I got everything out that was free. So if you look, and I'm going to have to remake this. So I got the burlap, and I'm going to, you can see it's clearly stitched here, and then on the end the stitching just comes off the end there. But this is folded over and tied to like a piping, so to speak, that's inside of the wrapped around burlap a little bit, and that goes through these little wire ends right here. There, maybe you can see it. Anyway, that's what keeps them together. And it looks like to me, so you can see where the burlap was cut here, but it looks like to me Ford or Chevy, this is working on a Chevrolet here. Anyway, it looks like they spray adhesive this and then folded it over and then stitched it, and then put all the wires in and put the end in, folded around with some spray glue. And this is like tied here. I started to undo it so I could take this wire out, but I just wanted to show you, kind of, might have to just cut it, but it's tied. Yeah, I'm just going to cut that, so I don't want to damage the wire and get that out. But anyway, once that's untied, then that rope is free from this end, and if you untie that end, it's not attached at all. So it's kind of tied here, and then this wire here in the stitched in area kind of, and then all these make the rest of the frame. And you can see every one of those marks where a wire was. So yeah, you'd think, you know, it's just throwing some new padding on. It's really not. There's, you know, by the time you know, I had to clean all the glue off this, clean that up, and I don't know, I saw something broken on it, and I thought, oh, I'll weld it. And I had a friend had dropped off some tools that a garden tool he wanted me to weld. So I thought, well, I'll get the welder out and weld it, and this stuff here that was on the bottom there, oh my God, that stuff just flamed up like it was soaked in gasoline or something. I couldn't believe how fast that stuff went up. Fortunately had my little, I always get this out whenever I do welding and make sure it squirts and everything before I even turn the welder on. And I'm glad I had it sitting there. And so I was able to put the stuff out. Yeah, it smoked up the garage, and it was pretty nasty. Couldn't believe how fast that stuff just went up. It just was mind-blowing. Anyway, so we're getting back to getting ready to cut some things, and I'm really kind of undecided. The back seat is like a, you can see it's woven, the backrest of the seat, I should say, and it's almost like this kind of stuff. And I don't know where you get that kind of stuff around here, so I'm going to try and use foam. I got several different sizes of foam. I got that. This is kind of a soft foam, so it might fold around the edges and stuff like that originally was. We'll have to wait and see. This doesn't, I don't think, would be thick enough. This is like the bottom of the seat. And then I got some carpet padding, which I don't think I'll use at all. Anyway, it's got a little tear in it there. And then I got this foam here. So that's too thin, but if I need to add a little bit, I could spray adhesive it on top of something, you know, just to fatten it up if the cover's still loose. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you the fuss. And a lot of these were bent. You remember one of them in the past video was sticking through the bottom of the seat. It was starting to rub on the cover. And so I had to straighten them up as I took them out. Some of them were bent on this end, some on that end. So I was pulling them that way, so I had to straighten these ones to pull them. And then once I got them out, I would straighten the other end. But there was probably about 8-10 that were pretty bad. Every one that was in this ripped out area, like, so every one of these right up to there was bent. And every one of these at this end was bent. So some were bent on both ends. All right, on to finishing up here. So I've been working on the seat some more, and this one fastener here was, the threads were stripped in the hole, and it had that nut on it as I showed in the past video. And a couple of the screws, get that started in here yet. A couple of the screws were void of threads, and this had come loose, and it was leaning back too far. The backrest was leaning back, and it actually bent this here back that way because these had loosened up. And this one was the one with the nut, which now has a welded nut inside there that threads into. And this is a new screw I got. So you can see how I put the backwards washer like this on it. Took it off this screw that was completely stripped. So yeah, the hardware didn't have anything. I'm not done showing you here what I'm doing. The hardware didn't have anything close to this bolt. And so I went to this fastener place, only about a mile away. And the guy had two different styles of bolts in this thread. This one, and he just gave them to me. He gave me 4 of each because I needed 4. So these go into a little, like, see how it fits flush in there? And hole there, well, this hole was hogged out pretty badly. It fits in there nicely now, as you can see. And I've built some weld up in there, and I'm just going to take my rat tail file and clean that up, and then I gotta make sure it's smooth on this side so this can bolt flush to the seat. But that will definitely go in there and fit flush, and hopefully the seat back doesn't lean back far like it. I mean, you know, when you're talking that much down here, that's like that, and it's like a click or two on your reclining seat in your car. It was just kind of uncomfortable. So anyway, that's one of the things that I'm working on repairing. These ones, the screw goes in there, sits in there nice, but see how it's doesn't fill the whole complete dimple there that this goes in, and this does. So I think these will have a better bite. So I got lock washers, you know, that's a built-on lock washer. You didn't have this style of built-on lock washers, so that's why if you ever part these old cars out, take all the fasteners you can off. I see people, you know, years going to junkyards, they take something apart and they just throw the screws on the ground and they're on their way. And I go and pick their screws up that they throw on the ground, because a lot of automotive fasteners are unique and you just can't go to the store and buy them. So take everything out you can. Oh, and you can see there is a broken spring here that somebody had repaired right there. But I think that repair is good. It's just the same as the other side right here where it is, and this all works good. But anyway, yeah, so save all your fasteners you can when you take a car apart, because you never know when you're going to need, you know, like this with the washer built onto it. I think they're on the, yeah, no, this is the factory original fastener. And you can see the screw head's a little marred up. I might take a punch and kind of, or ball peen hammer, and kind of hammer that back down. But this is going to work out just dandy, and I might even put a little blue Loctite on the bolts. But you can see my cobble job here worked pretty good. So all of them have lock washers. All of them have good threads. I ran a tap through all the nuts. Even the nut I welded on this, I ran a tap through just to make sure everything's good, so it goes together nice. But anyway, yeah, again, save all your fasteners. And then the seat, which you saw the bolts that were held in, well, there's plenty of room. And I don't like the big washers that came. See, that will cover the whole sharp edge of the head of the bolt. So I'm just gonna, and they just about fit, so I'm just gonna drill these out so they fit over these, because I didn't like the huge washers that fit these. And there's plenty of room to get a wrench on it, and plenty of slop to move the bolt around in the holes where the seat track bolts. So I'm going to drill the welded in nuts out and tap them out to this size. I got the tap sitting right here, so I just got to get the drill bit, which is a looks like it says 5/16. So I'll drill them. That's what size it is right now, but I'll run a 5/16 drill through the hole just to make sure they're all, you know, cleaned out good. And then I'm going to tap them to 3/8 and put these will hold the seat in. Got these holes all nicely tapped, all the bolts go in and out nicely. Go do the other side, and then the seat will be much easier to bolt back in. Cutting the new burlap. I measured, the original one was 16 inches from from here to here, like halfway between these, because it was folded over a 1/2 inch. It was glued and stitched, and glued, folded over, and stitched. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I made this thing 17 inches, so I fold a 1/2 inch over on each side. Now it's 16 inch. The width is the width of these. So I left a little extra I can nip off when I'm done, but I got to feed like a rope or whatever through so it doesn't, and I'll probably stitch this end over too, and why not, you know, just try and make it so it's all one piece and doesn't come out, so these things don't come out again like they were and poking into the seat cover. I don't need the seat cover torn. All right, I'm gonna just put some paper down here so I can spray this, and we'll wait a few minutes and we'll fold it over. This is what I'm using to glue it. The can of adhesive said shake well. I just put a piece of paper under it and a piece of paper kind of there just to try and reduce the mess. Actually, I could probably spray it this way. Then I'll just slide it along. And I'm going to let this glue dry overnight so that I don't get glue in the sewing machine when I stitch it. Alright, let me let that dry a minute and I'll fold it over and compress it down. There we go. I'll let that dry overnight and we'll run it through the sewing machine, and I can get this on. We can start getting this is for the bottom, for that part of the seat. So we'll get that together first. Get the seat belts in that part, and then I'll put this together. These are the trunk rods. This is the one that's broken. This one right here. It broke right here. So I'm going to clean these up, just give them a quickie light sand and a rattle can of black, and that way I'm only replacing this one, but I'm going to paint them both and just save this one in case the other one breaks, and this one breaks again. I don't know, maybe I should see if I can find one of these, just one on another parts car. You can clearly see these rods came off a silver or gray car. Yeah. Definitely some overspray on it. This is satin black I'm using for the trunk rods. Alright, I'm stitching up the burlap for the bottom of the front seat. Set this stuff up on my lap or something here. There we go. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's underneath where it's just got to be able to run the wire through there. The burlap isn't real even here, so I got to move it as I go, so I stitch right to the edge. This is a walking foot sewing machine. I don't know if you can see the foot walking there or not, but I'm going to back up quite a ways because I gotta cut a fair amount of material off. There we go. Alright, so both sides are stitched on this. Now I gotta run the wires and put the whatever you call it. It's like that stuff, I don't know, it's like a, let me see if I can find some. This is a sewing machine I'm using just in case if you're interested. It does have a servo motor and I do have it turned down quite low. Not to the lowest, but you know, enough to where I can jam on the pedal enough to where it doesn't just rip through at 90 miles an hour. Now this is time consuming and I'm just guessing about an inch on every one of these. It's just not worth my time to measure them out, but I think GM must have had a machine. They must have automated this. This probably was all folded up like an accordion. The wires probably fed through and then they pull it out and it was done. But this is just, you know, it's going to be good enough for what it is. It's better than what was there. And then I'll have to tie the ends of these all will have like a rope in them to be tied. But these were about an inch apart, so I'm guessing about an inch. If they're off a little bit, so be it. I don't think it will hurt anything. And every now and then I just take my tape measure and those are right on an inch. Those are just shy of an inch. Those are right on an inch. A little more than an inch. A little less than an inch. Right on an inch. So they're close enough. It's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be life or death with the seat. The seat will be better than it was, no getting around that. I got the end, this is all stitched, and then I ran a wire in each end and now I'm just putting the wires in between. Alright, I'm not going to bore you with doing this. This is, like I say, I've been working on this on and off throughout the day as I've been doing other things, so let me get to it. There we go. I stitched the ends after I put the rope in, tied it, and that will go down and, you know, so that won't be where you can see it. But I gotta review my video. I don't remember if it was 3 inches here or 3 inches here. I think it was 3 inches here up. So this would be, but like I say, I gotta go review my video to see, you know, where it is. But that will hold the padding from going through the springs. So I think that's the goal of this. And anyway, there we go. Like I say, just kind of, this is just the extra thread because I didn't clip the thread between joints. I just stitched, pull it out, stitch, pull it out, stitched. I didn't do it this way because I didn't want the needle to hit a wire. So that's why I just kind of went back and forth a couple times along there. And that way, you know, it'll ensure, plus that rope, it'll ensure that that doesn't come apart in the future. I did some measuring on some other vehicles and I found 20 inches was pretty common from the edge of the seat to the buckle on the outer ends. And the inner ends, this will be 18 inches, and I find most of them are a little narrower due to that. So this is what I'm kind of thinking of putting them at. 20 inches in from this. This is where the fabric, obviously, you know, so that's 20 inches to center here. And I'm also thinking of not using the plastic guide. You can see how it kinks. It's kind of hard to put them through. And then I'll have to twist this pretty hardcore to bolt it to the transmission tunnel. I'm just kind of contemplating right now. I might put some padding on it and get more of an idea, but I kind of like the look of it without that hunk. And you know, Chevrolet didn't use plastic like this in 1959. If they did have optional dealer installed seatbelts, are probably more like this. But anyway, I kind of thinking I'm not going to use the plastic insert. I just pulled this one out just to kind of look at it. And hopefully I'll have a foam cutter here soon, and I'm going to cut this out to match the original foam so I can start getting the seat together. In the meantime, I got to glue that stuff on the back here. I'm going to get my spray adhesive and scissors, and this is what I'm going to put on the back in place of that highly flammable stuff wherever it went. I saved a piece of it so I could know the width, and now you think I can find it? Well, I'll hunt it up. Oh, there it is. I got the torsion rods painted for the trunk too. They look pretty good. But yeah, that's what glued on the back here. So I'm going to get that on there right now, pull my seat belts out so I can work on that. I'm getting ready to cut out the foam, so I'm going to leave a little extra for hangover on the front if I can. Actually, I think I can pull this up to about there, because this will be fine like this. Oops. And that'll give me a little bit. I want some more hangover on the ends too. Hang on, my phone's ringing. I had a foam cutter. I don't think it was meant to cut this type of foam, as it just kind of bounced up and down, but if I pulled it tight, it cut it, but just kind of looked crummy, and that was a small pair of scissors, and this big pair just does a much nicer cut. And there is a spot here where I gotta go up a little bit because of the drive shaft tunnel. And I'll just continue cutting out here, and then we'll have the foam done. There's the new piece of foam cut out and ready for the seat. Moving along, just about ready for the cover. I just got to hog ring this down in a few places. This is glued to the foam, so there's no lifting it back up. I spray glued it to the foam so it doesn't move. There we go. The bottom of the seat is together. And I'm going to set it in the car without the backrest, because I think it'll be easier to figure out how to mount these where they'll go. And you can see where the backrest comes to about there. So I'll give it about that much slack, and it came with 90-degree brackets and stuff, so we'll figure out what we need to do to get this back in the car with those functioning. You know, you don't want these with a bunch of slack. That would defeat the purpose. You want them so they're pulled tight when you're buckled up. I got the seat base in just so I can kind of figure out, look how much better that looks. Oh my God. And I've sat on this and it's just amazing. But you can see the seat back comes to here. So that belt will be sticking out just a little bit, which is awesome because I didn't want them sticking out a lot. And I made a piece of tape on the bottom here to where that's going to bolt right there. You can't see anything anyway. Let me go get my light. Hang on. Now you can see I put a piece of tape in there, and I'm going to bolt that right where the tape is, because this is all the way back, and with the seat all the way back, and again, I don't know if the dirt line shows up there or not, but it's like right here. So this will be sticking out probably about that much with the seat all the way back, and then with it all the way forward, it'll be back a little bit further. Midway they'll be out the most, but I usually drive with the seat all the way back. And when you put the seat all the way forward in this car, it really, yeah, it's really tight. So I don't think anyone would drive it that far ahead. So anyway, that's where I'm going to bolt the seat belts, where I put that piece of tape. I got one on each side. Well, you're not going to see that side because the light's sitting over here. But anyway, there we go. I'm just kind of showing you what I'm starting to get to do. The fabric, see how it's put on, it's on sideways. The rolls aren't wide enough do the full width of a bench seat, so it's on there, the fabric's on it sideways, so when you vacuum it, I vacuum it that way. It just looks neater. But all right, let me and I got to put the back seat belts in yet too. I got to jack the car up, so I'm going to tackle that another day. This video has been about 10 or 12 days of monkeying around here, but I got to jack it up, make sure I don't want to drill into brake lines, brand new brake lines, or the fuel line, or make sure I can get a bolt in there and a wrench. I'll drill a little tiny hole and see where that leads on underneath, and then if it's in a good spot, I'll melt the carpet out with a soldering gun, and then I'll drill a hole, and we'll have these mounted. And then the other ones, the front retractor, I already sat on the seat and buckled the belts. So originally, you know, this, when the seat's in here, this will stick out a little further when the backrest is on, and I was originally going to put these in here like so, but I think I'm going to put them in here like this. And because when you pull the belt out, and if I put them in backwards, I don't want, even if I cut that tag off, I don't want this being the part that shows, so I want that. And I, like I say, I took these out of those plastic things. I just didn't like the look of them. They just look cheesy. I mean, even this plastic here, but, you know, it kind of goes with the, you know, so I guess that'll be all right. But I wanted retractors on this car. I had the Galaxy had the factory seat belts in there. They would lay down here, and you had to make sure they were laying here so that it wouldn't damage the door panel if they're hanging out or over the edge or something. So that's kind of why I got the retractors for this car, was specifically so I wouldn't have that issue. But I, you know, once I push the carpet down and get them in there and bolt it in, I think they'll be fine, maybe like right there. I think that'll be good. But again, I got to go underneath and make sure I can, you know, bore the holes and get the bolts in and stuff. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. And then we'll pick up this video when I start getting back at it. I might go to might not be around next day or two, so it might be a couple more days. And I haven't even started on the backrest yet. Want to get all the seatbelt stuff in, and then I'll start on this. I have to see how much video I have here, but I think I'm going to end this video here, make this one part 2 of repadding the seat and putting the seat belts in, and then I'll continue on with finishing up the backrest and getting all these bolted in, these bolted in, and the rear one's all bolted in. I got to get the car jacked up so I can get underneath and make sure I don't drill into something that I shouldn't be drilling into. So that's probably going to be the end of this video. So if you liked it, definitely hit the like button. It certainly helps. And if you like my channel and want to continue seeing this work done, you can subscribe. That would be nice. That 348 engine icon pops up will help you subscribe. And again, this video has been over 10 or 12 days, so if it's a little convoluted, sorry. And we'll get on with it, finishing up in part 3. But that's it. Thank you for watching my video.